Welcome to Tony Byrne's View with news you can use. Tony has over 32 years of experience as a chartered financial planner and wealth manager. Tony's passion is to help you retire early and live the life of your dreams with no financial worries. Now to today's episode.
I'd like to talk to you today about how notes and coins have changed over the many years, in fact going back several millennia, how we've used different forms of payment for things. Now in the past, many people will be aware that before we had coins made out of early forms of metal, we used to use things like beads or shells to make payment for things. In fact, the cowrie shell, C-O-W-R-I-E, is the most widely and longest used currency in the world, dating back to 1200 BC. Quite extraordinary. The pound itself, would you believe it, this is the world's oldest currency still in use. It's been around for 1200 years. Anyway, since the early days of beads and shells type of currency exchange, before that we had bartering, of course, all kinds of methods of payment, but before all that, it eventually evolved into coins and then notes, and we had a system that was linked very much to gold bullion, the actual gold itself, and that currency would be backed up by gold. So the amount of notes and coins in circulation was matched by the amount of gold. Now what happened over the years was that eventually the amount of notes and coins started to exceed the amount of gold in circulation, so effectively the gold standard ended really around about 1933, but it wasn't officially ended until 1971 when President Nixon declared that the gold standard was over and the link between the dollar and gold ended forever. And that meant the birth of something known as fiat currency, which is just notes and coins not backed by gold. Now since then, I've observed there's been a lot of changes in the way people pay for things. I mean, personally, all I use now is, most of the time, is my phone. I use Apple Pay. If I haven't got my phone, I might use a card and pay that way instead. But I very rarely use cash. And in fact, I've only once used cash in the last 3 months during the coronavirus lockdown. And that was £40, and that was a birthday gift to somebody. So if my case is anything to go by, I think the use of notes and coins physical notes and coins is going to diminish quite quickly. Some organisations are predicting in 10 years' time there'll be no more notes and coins, and others are saying 20. Well, I'm surprised it'll be even 10 years, quite frankly, especially with the emergence of this new up-and-coming type of currency called cryptocurrency, the most popular one of which is Bitcoin, or digital currency. Now, a lot of us will have heard of Bitcoin. It's a bit of a speculation as an investment, but it's an interesting one because Bitcoin, or cryptocurrency, is the only currency in the world that's not backed by a government, by a central bank. Now, the reserve currency of the world is the US dollar, in fact, which means it's the most widely used currency. And lots of things are denominated in dollars, aren't they? The price of gold, the price of oil, etc. Because the most powerful economy in the world at any time tends to control the currency of the world, and most transactions occur in it. So currently it's the dollar, the US dollar. But that's likely to change because history shows that every empire, and you can describe the US as an empire, has its day. We all remember the stories of the Roman Empire, the British Empire. There was even a Dutch Empire, believe it or not, that was very successful back in the 17th century. And all those governments of the day, all those countries of the day, had their own central currency that everyone followed. So it seems to me pretty obvious that the US dollar has to get taken over by another currency one day. To my mind, it seems logical that it will eventually be a digital currency. Who knows, it could even be the Chinese yuan or renminbi, because the Chinese government has created a digital currency. So I do think it's on the cards, this could happen. Bitcoin was only invented in 2008 by a mysterious chap called Satoshi Nakamoto, obviously Japanese. Some theories are that this isn't actually a person, it might be a group of people, but whoever it is, there's been a mysterious disappearance of this person. So Bitcoin, when it was born, was worth nothing, and even in 2008, maybe 2009, you might get maybe 5 cents for one Bitcoin. But Bitcoin rose in value tremendously up until 2017 when it got to $1,000 per Bitcoin. And in 2018, it went wild and increased in value from January to December of 2018 from $1,000 to $20,000. Quite extraordinary increase. Of course, it was a boom and bust cycle. It then proceeded to lose 80% the following year. So if you'd invested at the beginning of 2018, you would have got your fingers burnt quite badly. Bitcoin even today is now sitting at less than 50% of its peak value, but it has steadied off quite a lot. And what we're beginning to find is more and more institutions are starting to invest in Bitcoin. It seems to be getting taken more seriously now, and I think that will continue. Some people argue that Bitcoin is a good hedge against inflation, much like silver and gold, which have got limited supply. Bitcoin's the same. There's only 21 million Bitcoin in the world. So I do think this could change lives quite a lot, this new form of currency. If you're considering investing in Bitcoin yourself, do tread very warily. It's an extremely volatile investment, if you can call it such. If I were you, if you were to invest in it, I wouldn't risk more than maybe 1% of your wealth, maybe 5% of your investable wealth. You may make money, you may not. It is a speculation, but it's certainly a currency that's getting more and more accepted as each year goes by, and it's not something to be dismissed.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to share it with your friends and family. For more information, head to www.wealthandtax.co.uk.